Joining me now to talk about spring sports is Bobby Santoro of Jersey Sporting News. Bobby, a pleasure as always, my friend. How are you?
Doing great, Mike. Always a pleasure. It's a little rainy today, but we're into county tournament season, so it's good. A couple good weeks ahead of us.
Much different weather-wise than the last time we talked. But speaking of, high school baseball tournaments are well underway. Which players have been the standout performers in these tournaments so far?
Yeah, for me, Tommy Martin. He's a pitcher for Randolph. He had in their game against in their game a couple days ago. Actually, went 8 innings. It actually was had to go to extra innings for them to win their game to advance to the semifinals. But he had gone 8 innings, only allowed one earned run, two hits, and also was able to strike out. If I'm looking, yeah, was also able to strike out eight. So I mean, that was an absolutely amazing performance. Him and James Cliven have been the top two starters for Randolph, and they've been their kind of heart and soul of that pitching staff. You look at Morris Knowles; they almost were upset in the first round by Parsippany. So with them, that was Luke Dickerson. Obviously, is the guy who's always big for them. He had a sac fly to tie the game, and we've had a lot of teams like Livingston in the Greater Newark tournament. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these tournaments wrap up. I know this weekend, Saturday, is going to be the start of the semifinals for at least Morris County, and then the finals are Thursday, a week from Thursday, in Montville.
And which games are you looking forward to mostly this week?
Well, for me, one of them is Del Barton. Del Barton is actually going up against Randolph, but what's interesting about them is they are playing them today in just a regular season game, and then they'll play each other on Saturday again. So that's what really interests me. If Del Barton is absolutely, they're one of the top teams in the state. Obviously, they're two in the county, but looking at them, I mean, a 2-3 matchup of them and Randolph is huge. Morris Knowles will have a good matchup as well, but you see teams in other conference tournaments. You have Seton Hall Prep going. There are a bunch of like exciting games that are going on, and there are so many things to look forward to this week. Absolutely.
And now moving over to college baseball, Ramapo defeated Rowan 9-7 in the NJAC tournament final, earning them a spot in the NCAA tournament, which begins on May 17th. What kind of competition are they going to have to face in that tournament?
Well, it's going to be tough for them. It'll be very hard. Getting that spot is obviously something special. We've seen teams, in baseball, it's a little bit harder to see those kind of March Madness type upsets. You got to win a series. You got to win a best of three
Right.
series most of the time. So they're going to be going up against some teams that are just out of this world and unbelievable. But it's nice to see them, get in there. They won that game. They were trailing in the seventh by three. They had one of the, they were able to hit a 3-run home run to tie the game and then eventually go ahead in that same inning. So it's a nice little story for them to come back. But yeah, it's going to be tough. We'll see. Maybe they can make noise in the first round, but enjoy every moment since they're there now.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't even expected to be there, but good for them that they are, and all the best to them. Moving over to softball, Roxbury upset the top-seeded Morris Knowles to move to the county semis. You think they can keep the momentum going?
They might be able to. It's how they were able to win that game was great. They had I believe Lily Spezza is one of the girls who hit a 2-run home run, I believe, and they were able to actually hold off Knowles in the bottom of the seventh. Knowles made a little bit of a run, scoring 2 runs in the bottom of the seventh to almost come back. So they won 6-5. If you can beat the top seed, and you have that momentum, it's all about getting hot at the right time. So I think they can absolutely do it. Now, as we've said before in different, high school tournaments, you have that upset, which is fantastic, but you gotta, you can't let off the gas pedal. You have to keep going,
Right.
contain that momentum, and they can. So we'll see how this goes at the end of the week. Maybe next week we're talking about them in the finals, but I think they have every chance in the world now after beating Knowles to go ahead and move on, maybe into the county finals.
Well, let's talk golf for a second. Nelly Korda, who's ranked #1 in the world, will be going for an LPGA record. She's going for her 6th straight win in the Founders Cup next week in Clifton. 6 straight wins has never been done before on the LPGA Tour. Do you think she can do it?
I absolutely think she can do it. Now, I haven't. I mean, good for her because I haven't had 6 straight shots, like down on the fairway when I play golf. But for her, I think she absolutely can. Now it's a matter of if she's had 5 straight, that means that golf is such a mental game that she's obviously focused. Now the record might be in her head, but as long as the weather is nice in Clifton, and it's always for golf, if it's ever kind of too bad of a weather kind of day, they'll call it. But she seems to be locked in, and I think that she's going to easily be able to do it. It's awesome that it's going to be here in New Jersey and then it's going to be in Clifton. I'm going to try to get out there to see it too, but she'll absolutely have a chance, obviously, and be able to. I'm going to tell you, I'll say she's going to do it. I do. I'll put my prediction in.
I would love to see it happen. And finally, Rutgers quarterback Gavin Wimsatt entered the transfer portal. Can you talk about where he may land and talk about the QB who's replacing him?
Yeah, so it's interesting to see where he may go because he is from in the Kentucky area, and I think he could try to go back down south where he's from. Now, remember, he came out of high school early to be with Rutgers that year that he came in. He only had a couple of games, so he was still redshirted. But I could see him going back down south. I think he was great with us. I think with it sometimes it's a little bit hard to get going against some of these huge Big Ten school teams. But his replacement, I should say, from a transfer from Minnesota. His name is Ethan. I can't even say his last name. It starts with a K. But he's supposed to be very, very good. And the thing with Rutgers is the quarterbacks always go. It's always like a carousel with the Rutgers quarterbacks. Yeah. Not to say in college they're always here for a couple of years and they're gone, but I feel like Rutgers will get some big guy coming in and they'll eventually transfer out. So even though he's a transfer from Minnesota, you hope that they can have one of their recent signees. They had a national signing day. Hopefully, one of them can step up and be a solid quarterback for the years to come.
Bobby Santoro of Jersey Sporting News. Always appreciate your insight and always a pleasure, my friend.
Thanks, Mike. Have a great day. Thanks for having me.
Head over to ONNJ.com for the latest news and sports anytime.
Summers in New Jersey were made to wow you. From sun and wows to fun and wows and every wow in between. So come see what your wow's gonna be. New Jersey. It's one wow after another, after another, after another. You get it. Find your wow at visitnj.org. New Jersey, little state, lot of wow.
Since 1994, one name has echoed through the courts, fields, and arenas of New Jersey: Jersey Sporting News. As a credentialed media outlet with over 25 years of experience, we've earned accolades from those we cover at every level. Jersey Sporting News, celebrating New Jersey sports for over 2 decades, and we're just getting started. Let JSN become a member of your family.